Welcome to Legacy Engineered, the show where smart structure meets lasting success. Join Scott Arden, Chairman and CEO of Controllers Limited, as he sits down with business leaders, top entrepreneurs, and experts to uncover the strategies, stories, and structures that build lasting legacies. And now, here's your host, Scott Arden.
Welcome back to Legacy Engineered, the podcast where strategy, structure, and foresight come together to build lasting legacies. I'm your host, Scott Arden. Today, I'm excited to welcome Randy Tate, a self-made entrepreneur, technology leader, and co-founder and CEO of iFlip, a software-as-a-service financial technology company using AI-driven investing to help individuals grow and protect their wealth. Randy built and scaled an athletic apparel company to over $5 million in revenue before selling it to a publicly traded retailer, Sports Chalet. Over the past 15 plus years, he's trained thousands of business owners on marketing, sales, and building scalable, sustainable companies, including serving as the VP of business training at Infusionsoft, where he helped expand the elite education or elite business education program to over 150,000 users. Today, through iFlip, Randy combines entrepreneurship, education, and AI to make disciplined, intelligent investing more accessible, helping people take control of their financial future with confidence. Randy, welcome to Legacy Engineered.
Scott, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being here. And, you and I have known each other for many years, actually. We're part of various different groups. We're on a finance council together, it's a pleasure to have you here. Pleasure to have you here, man. Well, awesome. Well, go ahead.
No, I said I'm just stoked to be here.
Well, you look like, I know you're from Northern California area, but it looks like you are in a nice sunny location. Where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining you from a little town in Baja, California, down in San Felipe, Mexico.
Nice. Yeah, I know we've talked about that. I've got some friends that actually have some properties down there. I'm currently looking at one myself, but what the beautiful thing is those friends allow us to go down and use the property whenever we want. We just got to set it up and make sure nobody else is there. So I love that area. Yeah. Well, awesome, man. Well, cool. Well, I want to ask you, so you've built, scaled, and exited companies. How did those early entrepreneurial experiences shape your approach to wealth and investing today?
It's like layers of a cake, and I don't know how to shortcut all of the experiences, but we can shortcut a lot of them. Right. I go back even one step further, and I say this on podcasts all the time. I actually learned everything I need to know about running a company, coaching high school football. And I say that semi-jokingly, but if you can coordinate successfully 75 15-year-olds, you can coordinate anything. And
absolutely.
So I take those principles and I do, and I mean it when I say it, as you start to scale and grow or have success, the key fundamental pieces are your team. Who's on your team? You cannot do it yourself. You just can't. There's no, you hear people say, I'm a self-made millionaire. Well, you probably didn't make it all yourself unless you bought a lottery ticket.
Right.
Putting the right people on the bus first, and then shuffling them around on the bus so to make sure they're in the right seat. I use football analogies all the time. You don't want, Patrick Mahomes playing right guard. You also don't want him playing linebacker. You want to make sure the right people are there. Now, it's probably easier in football than it is in business, but the reality is, as you start to scale your company, widget doesn't matter, whatever type of company it is, people around you are the most important piece of what you're doing. Now, we can dive into bigger pieces of the individual roles, but it starts with having the right team that sees the field or the game the same way you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, Jim Collins talks a lot about that in the book, Good to Great, right? Is having the right people in the right seats on the right bus before the bus even leaves the station. So absolutely. 100%. That's how we do in our company as well, it's all based upon team, and having that right team and the right mentors and the guidance, people who have done it before and gone through the trials and the tribulations of this is what you do, this is what you don't do, and, learn from those experiences, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And scouting talent that aligns with the word culture gets overused. You just want people aligned. There's a couple of things I tell people. Culture is great. Yeah, we all have to have some culture, but at the at the at the core of it, though, is you want a group of people that are aligned on the mission and they're willing. And this is something that's hard to do, but if you're conscious about it and you talk about it, you want people on your team that can disagree, including yourself, and commit. You can say, okay,
Absolutely.
I've heard you, but we're going to go this direction. And that person says, okay, I feel heard. Let's go. We're going to go as best we can in that direction. That starts happening, and you're a good leader. You're going to do great things, and you're going to scale.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that being said, growing a company to 5 million and selling to a public company is no small feat. So what lessons from that journey still influence how you lead iFlip?
Yeah, no, it's interesting when you go back. The first one that pops into my head when someone asks me that question is the team thing.
Hmm.
We sold one because we sold that first company because of a handful of reasons. One, we got a ridiculous offer. That's part of it. But we had grown it, and I was doing everything there on the paperwork side, the bookwork side, all of those types of things was all on my plate. And we scaled it so fast. We did that in 4 years.
That's
And
awesome.
so, we were ranking and understaffed and we couldn't keep up. And I was working, I had the wife working, everybody was working, all hands were on deck. And the, Sport Chalet, who they were at the time were $1 billion retailer. And the pitch was, look, man, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff anymore. You're just
Right.
going to come in, you're going to manage a bunch of stuff, lead a bunch of people, and then you can go home and go to bed, not have to stress and work all weekend and all that. So that's what part of what got me there. The lesson I learned though, um, make sure you have proper legal counsel when you structure an exit,
Absolutely.
because I left a lot on the table, and made a lot of mistakes on that particular side of the deal, and you want to make sure you're covering all your bases.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Having the right team, the right guidance, making sure that everything is spelled out correctly, right? So I saw a
Yeah,
little hand come
exactly.
up in the background back there.
Oh, oh, did you want something? You were waving into the thing.
No, not a problem. That's awesome.
That's Karen
Well,
back
cool.
there.
What's that?
That's Karen back there.
Oh, hey, Karen. Hello. Good to see you. Well, cool. So, you've trained thousands of business owners and, led education initiatives at Infusionsoft. Why do you believe education and systems are critical to sustainable growth?
Well, let's start with systems, and you're a perfect example of this. If you're not systematized and structured properly, it it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You
Right.
you are opening yourself up to all kinds of. You don't even get out of the starting blocks. Now, again, you could get lucky. You could also get win a lottery ticket. The reality of it is, if you don't structure yourself right to start, whether that's LLC, S Corp, C Corp, you know, sole proprietor, whatever it may be, to get started with your company there, then layer in the systems like we talked about, when
Yep.
when you think about scaling a business, and then you got to understand there's just a handful of business things. I tell everybody really, you've got sales, you've got marketing, you've got fulfillment,
Yep.
you've got business structure, and then you've got your corporate, um, again, back to the culture word. So whatever you're selling, anybody out there listening, you have to be the full-on evangelist. And this is a magic bullet that people forget. You have to sell something. Okay.
Right.
You have to sell it. And people don't want to make sales. I'm not a big fan of sales, but I sell stuff everywhere I go. I sign people up for iFlip almost every Uber driver I get. I
Yep.
just sign them up because I evangelize the product. And that's the whole idea. So that's one. Sales has to be buttoned up before you get to even trying to go market. You got to know how you're going to sell, which means you got to have a good revenue model. A lot of people don't do the math. It's not as simple as money in, money out. It's money in, and then what funnels does money go into? Where does money get distributed?
Right.
And you have to, as a CEO, as a person in charge, you have to make sure that the right verticals are getting the right support. Because the people building the product or doing the work, the baker, the roofer, doesn't matter what widget, are they actually getting all the support and the things they need? It is your job to make sure they have the tools they need. If
Absolutely.
you have a roofing company and you only give your roofer a screwdriver to work with, it's gonna be really hard. It's gonna be banging in nails with, you get no staple gun, or you only give him nails, not a staple gun.
Right.
So, don't give the baker flour and tell him to make a cake. You can't do it. So, I can't run a software company without great people writing great code. And if I don't have that, I'm of no use. I tell people this as the leader, and as you're talking about scaling and growing your business, you are the driver, you're not the mechanic. If you want to be the mechanic, you need to find somebody else to drive.
Yep.
And so that is a hard, as we talk about businesses in general, and when you get going and you start doing your own business, and you want it to scale beyond you, and then you have to track each of those verticals. And I have a whole thing where I break them down into those stages and at what revenue line do you need to change your focus and where you need your biggest energy should be. At some point, Gerber says it best, you can't wear every hat. You
Yep.
gotta take some hats off and put it on somebody else and hire somebody else to do that. And then here's one big magic bullet for you. When you do that, nobody is going to do it as good as you.
Yep. Yeah, that is one of those things, it's like nobody's going to do it as good as me, but you have to learn how to delegate and how to trust. And if you're the whole organizational chart, then ultimately, you can, as you said, you can only sell so much. You can do the accounting for it, you can do the fulfillment, but then you hit the point of diminishing returns where you cannot bring in new business because you're servicing old business, right? Or, previous business. And so having that organizational chart that exists outside of just you. I mean, you've got a full team, I've got a full team. I couldn't do what we do and maintain the same level of, integrity, things like that without that proper team. Right. I mean, that's all what builds that reputation. So putting that back into the business, investing in the various different verticals and ensuring that there's no bottlenecks is absolutely critical. I love that you bring that up.
Yeah, it's hard to do. It's really hard to do. Now, in my case, in certain verticals here, iFlip, it's not that hard because I don't write code.
Right.
So I can't help even, the only way I can help is go hire another developer. That's, that's all I can do, you know? And so it is the realization that sometimes good enough is okay.
Right.
And if you're not okay with good enough, you can be the perfectionist, you can make it perfect, but it's going to slow down progress and growth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I heard this, it's not a piano, right? Start somewhere. It may not be perfect, but you're not building a piano.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good analogy.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why that stuck with me. It's like, okay, well, if you've got an idea, run with it, get it out in front of people and perfect it over the period of time. I mean, that's what it's all about. Trying to
So,
implement those various different tweaks or the streamlining of processes, things like that. But at least just get started, right?
yeah, sitting around thinking about it won't make it happen.
Right.
At
Absolutely.
least,
I hear you say that all the time, right? You're not going to sit there and chanting Maserati, Maserati, Maserati and end up getting a Maserati. You've got to make it happen. Absolutely.
yeah. You need more than a picture on the wall.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what problems in traditional investing Did you see that convinced you AI was the next evolution in how people should grow wealth?
Well, most millionaires and billionaires are built in two places, real estate and the stock market.
Yep.
That's where they become. Both take time. I was always a real estate guy. I love real estate, think it's great. However, I would never play in the stock market because I thought it was a rigged game, which I still believe it is. I know people get shocked when I say that I have a company that manages stock market investing, and yet it's rigged. Well, it's rigged in our favor now. So the reason the biggest problem, Scott, is that there's a lack of transparency and understanding of the way the system is built. And the way it works today, and I have a lot of financial advisors and planners that are my friends, but the reality of it is most financial advisors, most financial planners, despite their good intentions, are nothing more than a drug pusher for Schwab, Fidelity, Vanguard, Ed Jones, or whatever bank they work for.
Right.
Because all they're doing is selling products that the institutions are giving them to sell. This became crystal clear to me one day when another co-founder, he said, and he managed billions of dollars. And this is what kicked off the whole company. He said, Wall Street passes all the risk of investing to Main Street. They do it in two forms. Form one, apps like Robinhood that just encourage gambling. They do nothing to help you. There's nothing wrong with them. They're a great model. If that's what you like to do. And through financial advisors, push products to you, allowing the institutions to know where the money's going and what things are being bought and sold. And they can see it ahead of time. Because if you believe BlackRock or JP Morgan is investing institutional, as in their own money, into the products they're giving the public to invest in, then you really don't understand how the industry works. Then each person, that's the big flaw.
Yeah.
And then each person doesn't realize this, but there's a food chain. So there's somebody that greets you at the door when you walk into Ed Jones. Hi, how you doing? Can I get you a cup of water? Great. Then you're going to go meet with your advisor, who's really just the salesman, who's helping you structure the things the way the money manager does. They put those in funds, which are overseen by the corporate office. So you end up with 6 to 10 people in the food chain feeding off of your investment when there's no need for all of that. Right. No need at all. And so the average person with less than $1 million in America invested with the traditional investment world is paying upwards of 4% all in fees. That's insane. Now here's the other catch. Legally, they don't have to share all that with you. You see the sign on the window that says 1%. You say, no, I'm only paying 1%. Are you sure? Are you sure? And so that when we talk problems, those were the problems that I'm like, well, with technology and AI, we can fix that. And we can, and we are. And that is what we're doing. We took it from, better. You hear me say this all the time too. When you're marketing your business, when you're marketing your company, you're given one of three messages. You're better, you're less expensive, or you make someone's life easier. If you can do all three, you can disrupt. So we set out from the very beginning in 2017, mind you, using AI to manage investments for people, to give them a tool to actually do it themselves that's better than what you can get with an institution. For a fraction of the cost, we don't charge a percentage of assets. We charge $7 a month.
Right.
And we are super easy to use. If you can answer an email or log into your bank app, you can use our software. So those are the three messages we send. And better, easier, less expensive, over and over and over. And so I'll cap it off with, anytime you can look at your space, whatever your widget is, and you can find a way to be better, easier, and less expensive, that simplification should help anybody listening to this grow their business and start to scale.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. That's great insight. Great insight. So let's see, How does iFlip help investors remove emotion from the decision making and replace it with consistency and data-driven strategy?
Yeah, it's pure math. So the way our system works is the human is removed from the conversation. And when the human is removed and the math takes over, you avoid those emotional knee jerks. So every single symbol in our universe, there's over 200 of them, has in fact 211 mathematical indicators, something to the effect of the relationship on this day to the S&P 500 divided by pi times the flux capacitor. That's I don't I don't know the math on the backside. Like I said, I don't build the car, I just drive it. And
Absolutely.
and it then takes 211 indicators and maps out a predictor model for the next 15 days. So it's mathematics at the highest level. It is crunching more data than a team of 100 quants could crunch in a day, and we do it every morning before the open of the market. So you can emotionally know that the statistics are in your favor. Like I said earlier, we have the ability to count cards, so to speak. So you might not win every time, but your odds are greatly increased.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know, and what was it 2022 where the market took like a 30% hit or something of that
Yep.
nature? And yeah, I think with AI or with iFlip, it lessened that blow to a lot of the people that you have on the platform.
Almost all of it. In 2022, the market was down about 30. We were up about three.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean,
So,
that's just
you know,
powerful right there.
it is. And people sometimes look at it and go, well, you only did 3% return. Yeah, but the market lost 30.
Right.
you know? And so losing less is the key. Losing less is the most important thing people have to understand. Advisors will tell you you must leave your money invested because you cannot time the market.
Right.
It's a myth. You can time the market. In fact, if you invested $1 million 20 years ago just in the S&P 500 and you didn't touch it, that 1 million would be 5 million today.
Hmm.
So it would have grown. And here's their argument, if you tried to time it and you missed the 10 best days over that 20-year window, you would only have, you wouldn't have gone up to 5 million. You would only have two. However, what they leave out is if you also missed the 10 worst days, you wouldn't have two, you wouldn't have five, you'd in fact have 10.
Hmm.
And so missing the dips is critical.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we do.
Absolutely. Well, there it is. There it is. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, and going back to them talking about you can't time the market. Yeah, that's more of a ploy to work with us. You don't want to have to do that yourself. You don't want to have to manage. We'll do that for you, but we're not
Yep.
going to disclose the fees and all that. So that makes total sense.
And we're going to diversify you in such a manner that you're going to behave exactly like the market anyways.
Right. Right. Well, and that's how they get their commissions too, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's exactly how they get it. So here's what you tell your advisor. For those of you listening that have a financial advisor, you say, all I want you to do is two things. And you might not know what this means, but this is what you tell them. I want you to beat the S&P 500 in any 3-year window with a beta under 1. Tell them to do that. And if they say they can do it, then hire them.
there we go. Well, great information. Yeah, I encourage people to do that. You'll see what's really happening out there.
Exactly. Because they'll tell you it can't be done. It's a unicorn.
Right, right. Well, this is legacy engineered. And so, from Randy's perspective, when you think about legacy, what does that mean to you? And how do you hope iFlip helps individuals build wealth that lasts beyond them?
Yeah, we're just a piece of it, Scott, as you know. How we help is we create risk protection on downturns, downsizes when the market goes down, we try to stay flat or even go up a little bit. So protecting the downside over time. We're also liquid. So you can set up your flip account in the proper trust. You can set your corporate up to have an iFlip account. You can run your company's 401ks through Flip, giving your employees a better opportunity to grow. And so, as we talk about this and we think about, legacy, and if you're gonna leave something to your dog, maybe not your dogs, your kids, your church, your charity, the charity that's going to take care of the dog, whatever you're going to do with your wealth beyond you, iFlip's I believe an integral foundational part of it, because it will go on forever and you will be able to manage money. Your money will be managed for you with the software.
Absolutely. Well, and we talk about, being able to pay our kids, up to 15 grand a year. You can use that money for educational purposes, but then you can also put a portion of that over into a Roth IRA, which then the Roth would be investing in an iFlip account, right? So if the intention is to create generational wealth, that's the best way to do it, right?
100%. There's no better way to do it than that. Anybody that puts their $7 grand a year into their kids' Roth on our iFlip account, even if they do it from the day they're born till they're 18 and never touch it again, their children will retire multimillionaires.
Absolutely.
That it's that simple. You spend 18 years putting $7 grand a month in and then don't touch it again, you will have millionaire. Your children will be millionaires when they're 59.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I know that you're down in Mexico. You want to go enjoy your time and all of that. So Randy, I want to thank you for joining us on Legacy Engineered. Your journey from entrepreneur and educator to fintech CEO offers a powerful example of how systems, technology, and intention can come together to create lasting wealth. So for everyone listening to today's conversation, it's a reminder that wealth isn't built on luck. It's built through strategy, discipline, and the intelligent use of tools that align with your long-term vision. So if this episode intrigued you or inspired you to think differently about your structure, protect, and grow your wealth, visit controllersltd.com to schedule a complimentary consultation. And if people want to get in touch with you, Randy, they can look up iFlip, or we'll put out a link.
iFlipinvest.com, and we can put a link in the chat for you guys.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll attach that to that. And so again, Randy, thank you for being here. And to our listeners, until next time, stay intentional, stay strategic, and keep engineering your legacy. Thanks again, Randy.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks for listening to Legacy Engineered. For more episodes and to connect with Scott and the team at Controllers Limited, visit controllersltd.com. You can also follow Scott on Instagram and LinkedIn and start building your legacy with confidence today.